Chandler commits to Monica. Smart. Chandler's decision to fully commit to Monica marks one of the most important turning points in Friends. For much of the early series, Chandler was terrified of relationships and avoided emotional depth through sarcasm and humor. When he chooses to move forward with Monica, he proves that he's ready to grow up, emotionally, personally, and as a partner. It's a move that defines his maturity. Chandler has always been portrayed as insecure and awkward when things get serious.
Okay, it's baby time. Pants off, Bing. Didn't see you there, Geller.
But this relationship becomes a safe space for him to unlearn that behavior. He starts to value stability over fear and love over self-doubt. What makes this decision stand out is how it affects both of them. Monica helps Chandler open up, while he balances her perfectionism with humor and patience. Together, they form the most emotionally grounded couple on the show. In a series often centered on breakups and chaos, this relationship becomes the emotional anchor. Chandler's choice wasn't just about romance, it was about growth, commitment, and facing adulthood head-on.
Just find me. I knew I should have hit at the gym.
What the hell are you doing?
Panicking.
Ross says Rachel's name at his wedding, dumb. Ross's most infamous mistake happens during his wedding to Emily. When he says Rachel instead of Emily, it doesn't just destroy his marriage, it reshapes the entire group dynamic. The moment is impulsive, emotional, and shows Ross's inability to separate the past from the present. The mistake proves how deeply unresolved his feelings for Rachel are. Instead of being honest about them earlier, Ross suppresses everything until it explodes at the worst possible time.
Take thee, Rachel. Emily.
The fallout is massive. Emily leaves, his friends lose trust, and Ross's reputation for poor decisions becomes one of the show's defining traits. It's one of the rare sitcom moments that isn't just funny, it's devastatingly human. His actions come from confusion, fear, and unresolved love. Ross's inability to confront his emotions head-on makes this not just a plot twist, but a lesson in denial. Phoebe carries triplets for her brother, Smart. Phoebe's choice to become a surrogate for her half-brother Frank and his wife Alice is both selfless and defining. It shows how far her character has come from her unstable childhood. After a life of loss and abandonment, Phoebe steps into a role of emotional strength, giving someone else the family stability she never had. The storyline also deepens her beyond the quirky comedic role she's known for. Carrying triplets and then giving them up represents her empathy and resilience. She understands love as something that isn't about possession, but about giving freely. This decision also highlights Friends' rare willingness to tackle real moral complexity. Phoebe's emotional goodbye to the babies is touching and mature. It captures how giving doesn't always come with reward, but it can bring peace.
Looks like your uterus is ready for implantation.
Oh, I knew it! I knew it! I felt really thick this morning.
Rachel getting off the plane. Dumb. Rachel's decision to get off the plane and stay in New York for Ross is one of the most debated moments in Friends. On the surface, it's romantic. The grand gesture fans had waited 10 years to see. But from a character perspective, it's a regression. Rachel had finally achieved independence and professional success, only to give it up in the final moment. The problem is that the decision contradicts her entire arc. She went from being dependent and lost to confident and career-driven. Choosing Ross over her dream job in Paris feels like a sacrifice that undermines that growth. It's emotionally satisfying, but logically messy. Friends often prioritized romantic payoff over realism, and this is the clearest example. The audience got closure, but Rachel's character arguably didn't.
Where you going?
Yeah, I have to get off this plane, okay? Her friend has a feeling something's wrong with the left phalange.
Rachel quits her waitressing job to pursue fashion. Smart. In season 3, Rachel finally quits her waitressing job at Central Perk to chase a career in fashion. It's one of her boldest, smartest moves. The first time she stops relying on others and takes charge of her future. For most of the early series, Rachel's identity was defined by dependence, financially, emotionally, and socially. Walking away from a safe job to start over shows courage. It proves she's not just the spoiled runaway bride from the pilot, she's evolving. This choice also transforms her relationships. Her confidence grows, Her friendship with Monica strengthens, and even Ross sees her in a new light. It's a turning point that gives her agency for the first time in the show.
So I don't think I should do it anymore. I'm gonna give you my week's notice.
What?
Gunther, I quit.
Does this mean we're gonna have to start paying for coffee?
Chandler moving to Tulsa alone, dumb. When Chandler's job accidentally transfers him to Tulsa, his decision to go alone, rather than find a new solution, highlights one of his weakest moments. For a character who had worked so hard to build emotional stability, this choice isolates him and strains his marriage to Monica. His time in Tulsa doesn't lead to any real progress or payoff. Instead, it feels like a backward slide into avoidance, the same pattern Chandler spent years trying to break. It's an example of how even mature characters can still make emotionally lazy choices. In the end, the decision hurts more than it helps. It takes Monica's ultimatum for Chandler to finally quit, showing that sometimes growth only happens when he's forced into it.
Is it true that the reason you're here in Tulsa is that you fell asleep in a meeting and took the job without realizing what you were saying yes to?
Chandler leaves his job to find fulfillment. Smart. After years of working in statistical analysis and data reconfiguration, a job he openly hates, Chandler finally quits to find something meaningful. It's a rare storyline about purpose and self-discovery in a sitcom mostly about relationships. This decision shows major personal growth. Early on, Chandler used sarcasm to cope with unhappiness. By leaving the job, he stops settling for comfort and starts chasing fulfillment. It's symbolic of how he transforms from insecure and cynical to proactive and brave. The move also strengthens his marriage with Monica. Instead of letting work drive them apart, he chooses shared happiness. It's one of the few examples in Friends where a career decision supports emotional maturity.
Into his office and tells me he wants to make me processing supervisor.
That is great! Congratulations!
So, I quit.
Why?
Monica dating Richard, again, dumb. Monica's decision to briefly get back together with Richard in season 6 is one of her least rational moments. Despite knowing their values and timelines don't align, especially around children, she chooses comfort over logic. The problem is that Monica already knows how this ends. Richard hasn't changed his mind about having kids, and Monica's maternal instincts are stronger than ever. Their reunion is nostalgic, not practical. It's a realistic mistake, going back to someone familiar out of fear of being alone. But it also shows how love can cloud good judgment, even for one of the show's most grounded characters.
No, you'd like him.
Well, that's wonderful.
Phoebe chooses Mike over David. Smart. Phoebe's decision to stay with Mike rather than rekindle things with David is one of her most emotionally mature moments. David represents her past, the what-if relationship that never worked out. Mike represents her present, a healthy, steady love that's actually sustainable. By choosing Mike, Phoebe demonstrates self-awareness. She recognizes that love isn't about timing or nostalgia. It's about compatibility and consistency. The moment reflects how far she's come from her earlier chaotic dating life. In a show filled with cycles of breakups and makeups, Phoebe's choice feels like real closure, not just for her, but for the show's theme of growing into emotional stability.
Oh, look at you two holding hands. Is this getting serious?
Ross and Rachel's break miscommunication, dumb. Ross and Rachel's "we were on a break" debate remains one of Friends' most infamous plotlines and one of Ross's biggest mistakes. His decision to sleep with someone else within hours of their argument shows immaturity and insecurity, no matter how he justifies it. The storyline highlights Ross's weakness under pressure. Instead of communicating or waiting to see if things could be fixed, he seeks validation elsewhere. The fallout damages his relationship with Rachel beyond repair and fuels tension for the rest of the series. The miscommunication itself isn't unrealistic. It's a painfully human moment, but the impulsive decision behind it defines Ross as someone who values being right over being kind.
Pages about how I was unfaithful to her. We were on a break!
Oh my God!
Rachel moves out of Joey's apartment. Smart. Rachel's choice to move out of Joey's apartment once she senses his feelings developing is one of her most emotionally intelligent moves. Instead of letting things get complicated, she recognizes that maintaining boundaries is the right decision for both of them. It's a moment that shows Rachel's maturity. She doesn't want to hurt Joey or damage their friendship, so she acts before things spiral. For someone whose romantic decisions were often impulsive, this one is thoughtful and self-aware. It also restores balance to the group. By removing herself from the situation, she prevents drama that could have divided everyone. A rare example of foresight in a show driven by chaos.
I was kind of hoping you'd stay.
But Joey...
Joey losing his soap opera gig. Dumb. Joey's career often suffers because of his pride and impulsiveness. When he gets fired from Days of Our Lives after arguing with the writers and ad-libbing his lines, it's one of his biggest self-inflicted mistakes. The scene shows how his ego and lack of professionalism often sabotage his success. Despite having talent and charisma, Joey repeatedly undercuts his own career progress by refusing to play by the rules. It's a lesson in wasted potential, one that mirrors how Joey often sacrifices long-term gain for short-term emotion. The show frames it humorously, but it's quietly tragic too.
Nah. They said that when they found my body, my brain was so smashed in that the only doctor who could have saved me was me.